Right now, downtown Phoenix is giving away 4 months free rent. You have buildings sitting empty, doing anything they can get to get tenants into the door. And developers, they're panicking. This looks like the beginning of a crash. But here's one thing no one's telling you. Just 10 miles north, rents are rising, and there's no concessions. In some zip codes, you can't even find an available unit. So what the hell is going on? I've been investing in Arizona for over 30 years. I've survived the 2008 collapse, and this market, it's sending the clearest warning sign I've seen since then. This isn't just a dip, it's a test, and most investors are going to fail. So what's really happening in Phoenix? Most people just see the headlines. Housing inventory is up. Rents are softening. Developers offering 4 months free. And they assume that the Phoenix market is falling apart. But that's not the full story. What's happening is that Phoenix is two markets right now. You've got areas like downtown Phoenix where developers, they simply just built too much in one geographic area. These projects started in 2021 and 2022, back when money was cheap, rents were going up, and everybody thought this would never end. Well, guess what? These buildings just started opening because it takes a couple years to build them. And now they're opening, competing for the same tenants. They didn't do their homework in the beginning. That's why you're seeing 3 months free rent, 4 months free rent, free parking, and all kinds of concessions competing for the exact same people. It's not generosity, it's survival. So here's the reality. When you start to build a new project from scratch, you use what you think rents are going to be in the future, maybe 2 to 3 years, including concessions and expenses and all of that stuff. You sell it to the bank and they give you a loan. Well, during that period of time, interest rates went up on those construction loans, and revenue and rent projections, they are flat and even negative in some cases. So there's actually 3 things going the wrong way. The first one is interest rates have gone up during this period of time, creating a mortgage payment that's much higher than any developers thought they were going to have. The second one is that tenant incentives are up, trying to attract the same kind of tenants. Now, this could have been avoided if the developers would have done a better job at figuring that out before they even broke ground on the project, but they didn't. What this really means is less revenue than projected. So you have mortgages up and revenue down, and expenses are up because they're marketing the heck out of these projects to try to attract people. So that's the triple crown. You got mortgages up, you got the mortgage payment up, you got expenses up, and you got revenue down or flat or negative. This is all bad news for both the developer and the bank. But then if you go just a short distance away to Tempe, Scottsdale, Chandler, or even Gilbert, these areas have strong demand, limited land, and local governments that didn't rubber stamp every new apartment project. And in those markets, occupancy is solid. Rents are holding or climbing, and there's very, very little concessions. That's the tale of two Phoenixes. And this is where most investors miss the mark. They look at the metro average and they panic. But real estate is a local game, and it always has been. And I'll say it again, buy on fundamentals and not on fear. In the last 6 months, we bought 2 properties in 2 different markets that were nearly brand new, in lease up, struggling with occupancy, rent growth, concessions, and those kinds of things. And why would we do that? Because we're buying below replacement costs. In other words, when the fundamentals, the math isn't working out for the developer, the landlord, or the current ownership group, they have to sell at a discount. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Class A, beautiful buildings are being traded at discounts. And there's all kinds of dry powder waiting to buy these kinds of projects, because this is going to be a very short window in a long rent growth period. So right now, rents are flat, even going backwards, expenses are up, and of course, mortgage payments are up if you're under construction. If you can wait out this period of time, and you just wait for another 1.5 to 2 years when the market gets fully absorbed, because don't forget, we're still undersupplied and we have an affordability problem. In other words, renters are no longer able to go out and buy a single family house today because housing prices are high and interest rates are high. So there's a whole generation that's being forced into rentals. So the demand is coming. We just have a temporary supply problem. So what we're trying to do is buy during this period of time and take advantage of the low values of today and capitalize on them at a later date. Now let's talk about another curveball, the Airbnb saturation. Phoenix and Scottsdale became Airbnb gold mines during the pandemic. People were raking in 10, 15, even 20 grand a month on these short-term rentals. And that was the only way that those deals made sense, if they were short-term Airbnbs. So what happened? Everyone jumped in, bought houses, furnished them, and jacked up their pricing. Now it's oversaturated or oversupplied. Those same houses are sitting empty, fully renovated and furnished, because the only way that deal makes sense is to Airbnb. In other words, you can't rent these long term, which should be the strategy initially. And guess where they're ending up? On the long-term rental market, where they're competing directly for traditional landlords. So Danielle just had this recently where she bought a home and an Airbnb landlord came to her and master leased the property for 12 months, covered all her expenses. And so she did that deal because there's no vacancy to her. And then that Airbnb owner had to make more than that amount each and every month. And after 2 years, he was dead in the water. This was a very experienced Airbnb owner that had multiple Airbnbs around Phoenix and in the Florida area, and just recently canceled that deal and moved out all the furniture. That's why we're starting to see softness in the single family rental space. It's all connected. Listen, I've seen crashes and this isn't one of them. What this is a market flush. When rates go up, easy money disappears and it separates the pros from the amateurs. Bad operators get exposed, flippers can't flip, and Airbnb speculators, they're panicking to sell. It weeds out all the lazy investors and the people that thought that all you had to do was raise money on TikTok and Instagram. And that's when the real opportunity shows up. When the buildings are still there, the land is still there, the people are still moving here. Because Phoenix isn't dying, it's just correcting after one of the most aggressive real estate runs we've seen in a long time. So I'm a landlord, developer, and syndicator. I've got Class A buildings leasing up right now. So trust me, I'm not talking theory here. We live and breathe this every single day. In areas where people overbuild, you're seeing lease up stretch 18 to 36 months. And that's just the reality. But in great school districts with strong demand drivers, they're holding firm. The key right now is price discipline and location intelligence. You've got to know 3 things: where supply is outpacing demand, where people are actually moving, and where you have pricing power. So is Phoenix crashing? No, it's normalizing. But that normalization looks scary if you bought at the top. And of course, if you don't know what you're doing. And yes, there are areas right now where renters have the upper hand, and they should. We need more affordable housing, more choices, more balance. Because if it stays lopsided too long, you know what happens. The government steps in with rent control, and that's when things get really broken. So if you're a renter in Phoenix, this is your moment. Shop around, negotiate, look at the best deal that you can find. But if you're an investor, it's time to sharpen your pencil and go shopping. Just simply look for deals in strong submarkets with limited supply. Stay away from buildings that only pencil if rents go vertical. And whatever you do, don't buy on emotion. Buy based on math and truth. Because this is not a crash. This is the part of the cycle that amateurs get out of the way and the professionals build long-term wealth. If you want to see what my real estate company looks for in every single deal, just download the checklist here. If you want to see how billboards are one of the best unknown investments in the world right now, watch this video next.